We got the new Corsair One i500, and it's so expensive that it showed up in a Pelican case. I don't know what to say. This thing is, it's got a lot of expensive components. Don't want to break it or drop it. Oh my God. Oh. As you can see, they have made it larger than the past. I kind of wish we had the old one here for an example, but it used to be more like this, a lot more square. They've extended it out the back. I don't know if that's just to fit the 4090 that's inside this thing, or if it's to fit their 240mm AIO that's attached to the 4090 on top of the 120mm AIO that's attached to the 14900K, because yeah, this thing, it's got a lot of strength. It's real strong. They've got this like soft fabric mesh that I'm actually really into. We've been seeing more mesh side panels come into vogue. They've been on SFF for quite a while, but especially with the new Fractal North, how that can come with a mesh side panel. I'm really digging it. I'm really a big fan. Tempered glass is out, and look at how easily you just pop that off. It's, you know, it's no problem. It also comes with a handy dandy little headphone hanger that you just kind of pop in there, put some headphones there, real great. It can fit METX, and it's, you know, a lot bigger. It's gonna go much deeper in your desk, and you're gonna keep it vertical. It's gonna fit, but honestly, can it stay cool? It has a lot of ventilation. Like, this is all vents at the top with what, two fans? Yep, 2 fans blowing out the top, kind of like the old design that went top to, or bottom to top. And then we've got more vents out the back. So, and then what's on the bottom? More vents and rubber feet. In terms of just form factor and looks, with the fancy new wood panels as well, I kind of like it. Before I crack it open and take a look inside, let's talk about the I/O. We've got a couple of USB ports on the front with a USB-C and a headphone jack. And then on the bottom, there's nothing. But then on the back, 4 USB-A, all nicely labeled as 2.0. Thank you very much. DisplayPort HDMI, and then a USB-C, and then 3.2, a couple more 3.2, 2.5 gig LAN, and then what looks like a wireless antenna dongle. Audio on the bottom, and SPDIF. I'm not sure how to open this. We're gonna start by taking off these cool fabric side panels, and then we'll take a look at all of these screws. I'm just gonna start removing screws. That's usually your best bet. Once you got these 4 screws off, you just, pop it open. Look at this. Super easy to get to all these internals. Oh, what side's this side? The back. Actually, pretty nice cable management though. There's not a ton of room to work in cases like this, and with a 4090, there's a lot of power going there. And with all the fans, they've got something like 4 or 5 fans in this thing. They've actually done a pretty good job with cable management. Nothing's like sticking out. You still got room for another 2.5-inch SSD if you want to put one in, and they've got included SATA cables, so it should be as easy as screwing it in and hooking it up. So that's really nice. But what we really want to see is this side. Look at this. We've got 1, 2, 3 fans. Okay, we're gonna take out 4 more screws to get this top off. One kind of annoying thing, and a good reason to have an LTT store screwdriver, is unlike the initial 4 screws for the side panels, these are not a standard Phillips bit. It's really not the end of the world. A lot of people have these, but I would have loved to see the exact same screw head on every single screw. Once they're all off though, you just pop that cover off, we get access to our 2 fans. So they've got the GPU radiator on the 240mm way up here with 2 exhaust fans. And then we've got our CPU radiator on the 120 down here. Now, 120 millimeters for a 14900K, it's not enough if you're gonna try to sit there and run Cinebench or Prime 95. You're gonna hit 100C. That's not really what I'd recommend the Corsair One for. This is for a small form factor, high-end gaming rig. Now, when we get to gaming and temps and all that, you will see that 120 millimeters, it's sufficient. You're not gonna get, 60 degrees C when you're gaming, but it's honestly not bad. More on that later. Once you take out these other 2 little tiny Phillips screws here and here, you can open this up. Isn't that cute? I actually really like this design. All of a sudden, you're gonna get a lot more access to your CPU if you actually wanna take this off and take that out and swap it out. Otherwise, we've just got some dual channel DDR5 memory here. Pretty sure it's 6,000 megatransfers per second, which is pretty decent. It's nothing, you know, it could be faster these days, but it's definitely not bad. If you want to get at the GPU, you're gonna have to take this fan and shroud off. Okay, just pull it down. And then you can see this crazy water block just on the die. I've never seen a water blocked 4090 like this, but our temps were okay. So whatever they're doing, it seems fine. I didn't look at VRAM temps, but should be all right. And as you can see, yep, it's got these two hoses going all the way up to this 240mm rad at the top. Let's close this all back up, power it on, and take a look, but not before a word from our sponsor. Thanks to Secretlab for sponsoring today's video. Are your gaming sessions leaving you in pain? Do you have to stand up and stretch after every email? Secretlab is there for you, your back and your butt. Their ergonomic, high-quality chairs are designed to provide maximum comfort all day long. They even come in a variety of eye-catching upholsteries, so there's a style for everyone. Check out Secretlab at the link below. It has to be turned on for this feature to work, but you're plugging things in. You can't see where the ports are, what cable you're holding. You just kind of like put your hand down here a little bit and it pops a light up for you. Don't get me wrong, we got a bunch of studio lighting, it's easy to see, but when this thing is like behind your desk, your lights are off, you gotta do a certain cable, that's really handy, and I kind of wish there was a light on basically every case I own now by the IO. And then on the front, we've got these two diffused RGB strips. I wish they were a little bigger, or I wish the metal didn't quite overhang as much as it does, but in the dark, it's actually quite visible. The really cool thing is, it's got all the different color presets on this bar. So you don't like the color, you just swipe your finger down, change it to something else, and then you just stop it once you're on something you like. And then on the bottom, if you press and hold, I believe it is, it'll cycle through different modes. Pretty neat. They do have software in here, so you can control it all from your desktop, but I mean, you know, I don't know. I kind of like this. It's a really minor thing, but I love it. I love tactile features. Let's see how it performs though with a 14900K and a 4090. We've got Cyberpunk running in the background, and it's just the main menu, but we're hitting like 80C, 75C. That's fine, because it's, you know, we're gaming. We're just setting up OBS and checking our screen recording for 4K Cyberpunk, and we took a look at the temperatures. It is definitely increased a little bit over time here. We're hitting our max of 98C or even 100C on our core max for our CPU. Like I said before, Corsair, I know that for gaming it's fine, the performance is actually gonna be good, it's just running hot. But please, I don't like seeing it go red. Just try to fit another 240 in here. You made the case so much bigger. Stick a second 240, it would help so much. At least I like to think it would. Anyway, in terms of gameplay performance, 4K Ultra ray tracing on, and we were getting like 40 FPS. You turn DLSS on, set it to quality, which still looks good. Has some artifact issues here and there, but you know, if you're not too sensitive to that, it's fine. But look, very playable. 80 FPS with like 70 on our 1% lows, high 60s, mid 60s, totally fine. And really, ray tracing. Is it worth it? Not usually, it looks really good, but man, the performance tanks. So just turn that off too, and you're good to go. The reality is, we're getting about what you'd expect from a 14900K and a 4090. The really good news is though, unlike our CPU, our GPU on that 240 rad is actually doing pretty good. Our hotspot, only 70 degrees max. I mean, it's already down to like 40 because you can hear the fans. They're cranked, they're really trying to keep it cool. But it's a 4090 and it's staying well within spec. So, you know, put some speakers on, put some headphones on, keep them on the headphone hook. Just ignore the fans. To test out thermals, labs tested F1 4K ray tracing. On the CPU side, we got a max of 81 with an average of 59 degrees. But on our GPU, it didn't even crack 70, reaching a max of 69, nice, and an average of 67. It's pretty good. Considering it's a small form factor, those GPU temperatures are also pretty impressive. We compared it to an Alienware R15 with a 4090 in it, and it got a little worse than that. That thing crept up as high as 82 max on the GPU, and then it only averaged at 80 degrees Celsius. Moving on to combustor, that gap narrows just a little bit. On the Alienware, we see a max of 75 with an average of 72, while our Corsair One sticks at 70 degrees Celsius with an average of 67. Overall, pretty impressive. Last but not least, in our Cinebench test, the two different systems we tested do have slightly different CPUs. We've got a 13900KF in the Alienware, but they're both gonna thermal throttle, reaching upwards of 100 degrees Celsius on the Corsair, max of 98 on the Alienware. However, the Alienware does keep a much lower average of 79 degrees Celsius. These i9s are really hard to cool. Doesn't matter what you put on them. NHD15, 420 mil rad, like it doesn't matter unless you go full custom loop, they're gonna run hot. However, that significantly lower temperature on the Alienware is largely because it's thermal throttling itself. And as soon as it gets up there, it just comes right back down to keep itself in spec. Because it's able to maintain those clock speeds, and it does boost a little higher on the i9 14900K, our 1080p results, they're pretty good. They actually beat out the Alienware quite substantially in a couple of our tests. However, when we get to 1440p and 4K, the gap kind of narrows a little bit. You can really tell that they're using the same GPU and that 4090s don't thermal throttle that easily because of all the cooling attached to them. Even though this one's on a 240mm rad and not the stock cooler, we're seeing results that are almost neck and neck. Pretty much the exact same across the board as soon as you're upping your resolution and going to a more GPU bound kind of scenario. I do expect most of you to get this as a gaming PC, but in terms of productivity, it's pretty good. Here's some labs results so you can see for yourself. Overall, not a bad system at all. As for price, now we're talking about the Alienware R15 when we compare it to this new Corsair One, and the R15 is the old model. The 16 goes for surprisingly about $4,000. The Corsair One, with basically the same specs, although some very minor differences we'll get to, is $4,700. The Alienware is also on sale right now, knocking the price down even further. If you go for the Corsair One, there are advantages. I mean, one, it's small form factor. You're gonna pay the SFF tax. On top of that, it does have slightly faster memory, and while it's only about a $40 difference if you're just buying the CPU separately, this one does have integrated graphics, so if you ever have to stop and troubleshoot, you're all set. Almost $5,000 can seem like quite a bit of money. But don't forget that the graphics card in here alone is almost $2,000. And the fact that you're getting a pretty slick case, a lot of cooling. There was quite a few fans in here. Performance was good. XMP came enabled out of the box. If you're looking at high-end boutique pre-builts, then you're kind of splitting hairs when it comes to a few more $100 anyway. I think it looks really good, and at the end of the day, it kind of just comes down to taste. Do you like the way this looks and performs better than the competition? I mean, I do. I don't know if I'd buy it, but it's pretty sweet. Thanks for watching Short Circuit. If you want to take a look at another pre-built that you could consider buying from a pretty reputable brand, check out the Maingear MG1. Great computer. We still use it. See you later.